So, gonna do a quick little video on currently the best GPU that you can possibly get for the money. That's gonna give you the best bang for your buck without having to spend a ton of money. And I'm gonna have to go with the 1650 Super because it's currently uh, for really, really good prices. For instance, the Zotac one is $159. And we'll just take a quick little look at it. 4 GB of VRAM, which is perfectly fine, and a boost clock of 1725, which is a little bit low, but it's not bad for 159. But if you scroll down, there's currently an MSI one that's on sale, and this one has a boost clock of 1740, a little bit better. There are some better ones like any Asus one, but the problem that you're going to get with Asus is the fan on an Asus are a little bit weaker than something on like an MSI. I'll show you in a sec. Just wanted to go over this one. Now the negative about this chassis, because I have this chassis for my GTX 2060, and it does get a little bit loud. When this card starts to get all hot, the fans turn onto a turbo speed and it kind of has a little buzzing sound. It's not terrible if you have a case that's pretty enclosed, but if your case is like an open concept, a lot of vents coming out, you will be able to hear it. That's the only downside of it. I don't have any heating problems with mine with this chassis. It's perfectly fine. And I noticed with these 1650 Supers is that they all come with all three of the most common used display ports. So the DVI, which is a really common one, the HDMI, and then the DisplayPort, which is the new one that's taking over. A lot of them are deleting the DVI for some reason, but a lot of 144 hertz monitors have DVIs and nothing else. So it's kind of a pain in the butt when you have to go out and buy a new graphics card or a new cord that's like DP to DVI, because that is an option. But running multiple monitors, like you can have your main monitor hooked up to the DP, your secondary monitor, because it won't need to be 144 hertz on two, can be hooked up to an HDMI with no problems. Now, if we look at the Asus one, for instance, this one, the exact same price, 169, which is perfectly reasonable. It goes up to 1,800. Now, my problem with this one is they come with little dinky little fans. Like those are pretty garbage. They've been using these same fans since my AMD HD 7850, which still works. I mean, it keeps it cool, but they're pretty like junky fans. Because if you look at their upper class, which would be a Republic of Gaming, ROG, the fans are much thicker. They look a lot cleaner. You don't see the wires as clearly. It just looks better, has a nicer chassis on the outside, while the other one looks pretty ugly. And the problem with this one, I believe the DVI is gone, because they just want to get rid of them, I guess. But yeah, above all, so the old card, so let's keep in mind that the base price for a half decent one is $160. The old one was the RX 570. Was the card you wanted. And you know, you can get a cheap one for $134, totally acceptable. This one's perfectly fine. 134 is not bad at all. 179, but let's just see what you get for an extra 30 bucks. So I'm going to give you guys a little history lesson. So originally, well, 2 years ago, the best card for the money was the 1063 gigabyte. This was the best card voted for getting you into entry-level gaming, and at this time, Bitcoin was a huge thing where people were buying graphics cards, multiple of them, hooking them up to a single rig, and then using the graphics cards to do transactions for them so they can make profit off each transaction so they could gather Bitcoin. And when this was happening, the RX 570 sold off the shelves like crazy because it was the best bang for your buck. It was very cheap when it first came out. I think it was about 200 bucks. And people were buying them up like crazy. So the RX 570 never really got used for gaming because it got bought up so much. Eventually, when Bitcoin dried up, they started actually having RX 570s on the shelf again. And then this actually took the spot of best GPU because it was much cheaper, almost $100 less. And people were snagging up this one over the older 1060 because saving $100 to only lose out on 10%, not too bad. And then the 1060 got replaced by the 1650. Sort of, as the main one. Like, this was pretty good, and then the 1650 Super came out shortly after, or maybe it was the same time, but anyways, it's 25% better than the RX 570. It even beats out the RX 580, which is a much higher priced graphics card, so it holds up even higher. Now, you can tell by these ticks that a lot more people have tested this GPU over this one, so it might pull it down a little bit, but just for the meantime, you get a general idea. because this one is still better price than this one. And then if you look at Fortnite, because this is the game that most people play, 74 FPS, perfectly fine. I love my RX 580. The 570 is a little bit lower on higher settings, but most people don't use high settings. But the RX 590 almost scores the same as this, other than the RX 590 is a lot more money. So it's pretty close to being an RX 590 without having to spend the price of it. It says the value's better, but I don't know. Let's look up an RX 590. $200, not bad on sale. But you know what? Saving a little bit of money to get a GTX 2070 Super. Sorry, a 1650 Super. So many different cards. For $69, I don't think you can beat this. This graphics card just does it all for a lot less. So that I would say that this is probably the best card you can possibly get for a starter rig. Running this with a new Ryzen 3, if you're looking for a new build, or even a Ryzen 5 2600X, this thing would run perfectly fine. The Ryzen 5 2600 with an RX 570 runs like most games at 60 frames and a lot of games at 144 that are less demanding. So this one would do better. It beats it out by over 10%, so it would definitely get you your FPS that you're looking for without having to spend a lot of money. I might think about selling my RX 580 to get one of these just to test it out, but I'm still on the fence about it.